In this module, we are going to go a little bit more in depth into how to express your needs in close relationships or to individuals in anywhere, in the workplace, in your family life, anybody that you feel that you need to express your needs to. You'll have the strategies to do so. So by this point in the course, you should have a really clear picture about what your personality needs are, especially the top 4 that you went through in those 9 questions in the earlier module, as well as some of the tertiary needs, those moment-to-moment needs that occur for you quite regularly, and how to actually get these needs met, both individually in relationship to self and in relationship to other people. And now I'm going to help you communicate your way through getting them met through others. So what's really important for us to note is when it comes to communicating our needs to others, because some of our earliest associations to criticism, where that criticism was usually followed in childhood by some kind of punishment or some sort of shaming, oftentimes when we go to communicate a need to another person, they can personalize it or take it, very, very negatively, when our intentions might be really, really good. And any time that we're not communicating our needs to others in a personal relationship, even if we have the ability to meet that need ourselves, but we recognize that there's something we might be needing from a romantic partner or a close friendship or any other loved one, we're essentially keeping an invisible wall between ourselves and that person. So it's very important in our closeness and in our connection to other individuals that we learn how to express our feelings and express our needs. So people, a lot of the time when they're arguing, they think that they're arguing about being right and wrong, but really what they're arguing for is to feel like their point or their feelings can be seen, heard, understood, and validated by the other individual. And so it's really important when we have this need to connect in some form, or a need in some area or aspect of our lives that is met or unmet, that we start communicating what our feelings are around this, what our needs are, and then develop a strategy to get this met. So in the previous module, you identified your tertiary needs, and then you developed strategies to meet these needs intrinsically for yourself. And now we're going to go through how to meet these externally through communication specifically. So let's say, for example, that your need is to feel more connected to your partner. And let's say that's related to the personality need of emotional connection, which is related to the basic human need of love and connection. And again, I don't want you to get too worried about the links here. I just want you to know what your personality needs are and which tertiary needs are most important to you. So you might say when you're communicating to your partner, hey, I feel, and then you want to insert the emotion that you feel. And you want to explain a little bit of why, but try your best to not use the word you, because again, we can sort of personalize this quite easily as human beings because of the punishment reward system we all went through in childhood. And again, you don't have to walk on perfect eggshells and communicate so perfectly to your partner, or to any individual that you're trying to express this to. But what's important is that you recognize that your ability to express effectively increases your chances of getting your needs met and feeling heard. So this isn't about walking on eggshells for somebody else. This is really clearly about you best increasing your chances or maximizing your chances of getting your needs met from somebody else. So you might say, I feel, insert your emotion, because, insert a little bit about the experience, and then I need, insert your need, and you should be pulling this from usually your tertiary needs list. This could be a personality need that you have, I need more emotional connection. But as a general rule, when you're communicating in interpersonal relationships, you're doing so from the tertiary needs sheet. So it might be, I need to feel that we are speaking more often. I need to feel seen and heard and understood. And then you want to express why this is important to you, and then a strategy to get this need met. This is really important. If you don't express your need very clearly and very strategically so that it's practical for your partner and something they can clearly and easily do, then you're decreasing your chances of getting your needs met in interpersonal relationships. And again, it's like if I say to you, hey, I need more support, support might look differently for me than it does for you. For me, support might mean encouragement and validation. And for you, support might mean, speaking on the phone more often or having your feelings, expressed to me and me actively listening. And again, this is why it's so important to refer to your tertiary needs list, because all the forms and ways that you need your needs to be met will sort of exist there on that tertiary list. So if you're doing this and if you're enacting this in your personal relationships, something else that's really effective as a follow-up is to ask the people that you are close to or the individuals you're having this conversation with, hey, what do you feel and what do you need from me? And what this is essentially doing is surfacing at the conscious level the individual feelings and needs you have as unique people, and also in the relationship and the exchange of energy that occurs between the two of you. And it is so important that we become aware of our feelings and needs and learn to express them effectively, because what this does is it really breaks down patterns of codependency, patterns of enmeshment. It makes us feel empowered and fulfilled in our lives when we start thinking, hey, I can express my feelings, I can get my emotions validated, and I can get my needs met for myself or from others. And we start developing this ability to deeply feel fulfilled and inspired in our lives, because so many of our emotional responses are literally directly related to our perception of how much our needs are met or unmet. So for this exercise, I want you to fill out that worksheet. So use the top 10 tertiary needs you have, and feel free to connect to the feelings sheet that's also there in your workbook, and ask yourself, what am I feeling in each of these different dynamics when I have a need that needs to be met from somebody close to me? And then what am I needing? And get really clear about a strategy to meet that need. So as a further example, let's say you need to feel more connected to your partner. You need to feel expressed or seen, heard, and understood. Maybe the strategy would be something like, hey, can we have an extra weekly phone call? Can we talk on the phone 2 more times a week? Let's schedule it in for Tuesdays and Thursdays when you're home from work. Again, you want this to be as specific and direct as possible. By not doing this, you create sort of this whimsical space that you're hoping your partner can sort of read your mind around, and you're also not being clear about what your intentions are and what really matters to you in these dynamics. And I see so often people getting into romantic relationships or working relationships and not being clear about what they're actually needing from their partner. And what this does is it makes it very difficult to feel like we are fulfilled in these arenas of our lives. So as much as we can, we want to be clear about our needs, we want to be specific about our needs, and we want to be communicating in a clear and specific manner to others. Another question you can ask yourself is, what are my biggest unmet needs from childhood? And how does this show up in my life now? And it's an interesting reflection question, because our subconscious mind works very hard to maintain its comfort zone. It wants familiarity. It goes, hey, we're really concerned about survival. And so if, our needs not being met in childhood worked for us and we survived, then this is a really good pattern to keep recreating and reinforcing. And we want to use our conscious mind to reprogram some of this if this is part of what our subconscious mind is trying to do. So it's really important to ask yourself, like, hey, what needs were deeply unmet? And you can refer to your tertiary needs list. And what you'll see is that these are often important needs that you have in your adult life, as long as you've built in positive associations and there's some form of belief that you can get these needs met. And again, make sure that you check in with yourself, because your subconscious mind will basically be hurting you to a certain degree without meaning to, but hurting your emotional well-being by replaying these patterns a lot of times. If you didn't feel loved and connected and emotionally bonded to mom and dad growing up, you'll find that you are unconsciously recreating those patterns of distance in your romantic or interpersonal relationships in your adult life. So we want to be really clear and conscious about this, and really take the time to strategize and communicate how to get these needs met in our adult lives. So one other thing that you can do as an exercise here, which is really effective, is go through the Healthy Habits worksheet that's in your workbook. And this is about structuring your life to include healthy habits that are very inclusive of your needs on a daily basis. And what this is going to require you to do is to set a little bit of time aside in the morning or in the evening, or a time that really works for you that you know you can commit to, and just take the time to meet some of your needs yourself. And what you're doing, without even necessarily realizing it, is through meeting these needs repetitively and the meeting of these needs eliciting an emotional response, you're also reprogramming any patterns that limit you from having these needs met on a regular basis. Because remember, the subconscious mind is programmed or reprogrammed through repetition plus an emotion. So by consciously and intentionally showing up for your needs, repeating these, developing this idea that there's self-efficacy for you to meet these needs yourself, and then that eliciting an emotional response, your own subconscious mind will start naturally working on behalf of your needs more regularly, and you'll start feeling more empowered and fulfilled in this arena of your life. So this brings us to exercise number 4. This is all about practicing the awareness of your feelings and needs in real time. So the purpose of this exercise is to become aware of your feelings and needs in real time. And when you feel negative emotion, the goal is to be able to go inwards and understand what negative emotion is communicating to you and how you can address the unmet need in order to transform it. Through doing this, you will be able to establish the relationship between your feelings and needs. You will also create strategies to start making changes that are daily in real time. Now remember, the root causes of negative emotions is when your needs are not being met, or if you're telling yourself a painful story made up of your thoughts and beliefs. So you want to start by referring to your subconscious needs list, the ones that you've determined for who you are, your personality needs, okay? But you can also just take a look at other major needs, because they'll all sort of go together here, but your personality needs are going to be the place that has the most emotional leverage, okay? And you can also look at the major emotions and their opposites list at the back of the workbook. What you want to do is you want to write down the patterns of negative emotion you feel most often, okay? What situations are spurring these emotions for you? So pick something that you feel frequently, and you can start by just prompting yourself by looking at emotions. Do you feel embarrassed frequently? Do you feel angry, frustrated, overwhelmed, trapped, alone, sad? Like, what emotions do you feel often? Put that down. Then source it. See if there's a direct relationship with a need. It could be a story as well, but we're checking and we're going to focus on you being empowered to break through unmet needs here in this exercise. So maybe you feel embarrassed when you're speaking in a group. Okay, maybe you feel stressed when you're rushing, angry if you're interrupted, anxious when you're running late, whatever it might be. You're looking at the cause and effect. Okay. Part 2, you're going to ask yourself, what do you need in order to feel better in this situation? And then you can refer to your tertiary needs list, or you can choose multiple needs. An example could be, I need acceptance when I'm running late because I become afraid people will be angry at me. Okay, so put down the things that you need, and you can pick more than one. You might say acceptance, approval, and safety. And what is your strategy to get this need met? So an example could be, I can ask for patience from someone, or express an apology for being late through communication. So this is your strategy. So let's say you need acceptance, approval, and safety. So now what do? You strategize a way to support that for yourself. So maybe you decide, I'm going to share my fears vulnerably. Okay. And there you go. If you can get into the framework of thinking that way, ooh, I don't feel good. What's the feeling? What do I need? What's my strategy to get this need met? If you can develop that way of processing your emotions, it's going to be extremely empowering on your journey. So you can check back with your needs at the end of the day. Did you commit to at least one strategy to improve the fulfillment of your needs today? What can you improve upon tomorrow? And this is a great thing to practice checking in with on a regular basis.